want to develop something which helps me save tokens, because I was working build for Kiro with Kiro. Basically, a graph stores your code base in a more intelligent way than just searching through files. Okay, when you loop and repeat observation, when Kiro understands that you are doing always the same thing, it produces a skill for you.
Hi, Davide. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Oh, very fine, very fine. Thank you, thank you. I'm really happy to be there, and let's have this discussion.
Yeah, totally. So, thanks for joining me. And so you are calling from Italy, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm based in Milan, or really near Milan, not Milan, but Pavia, which is a city near Milan, and it is a sunny day today, so this is good.
Great, perfect. Thank you. And you are a community builder as well. So you are part of the AWS community and active member. And you were telling me that you are more specialized in serverless. So, but what is your job actually?
Yes, yes. Let's start speaking about the community builders.
Yeah.
This is my second year. I got renewed just last month, I
Yeah.
think. And this is a very cool program because you can actually do your job and being recognized for this. And also you have supporters for your job and for your articles or what you do in the serverless space, let's say in the AWS space. Okay, and in my life, in my work life, I am head of software engineering in Eleva, but actually I'm a solution architect, and I'm working on AWS to basically help my clients to adopt serverless architecture, serverless project, and everything which is in the serverless space. This is my focus in the day-to-day work, and also I'm really worried about innovation, and so everything about AI, about this landscape, it's really interesting to me, and also I'm helping people, clients, communities adopting AI, and also Kiro, which is actually my preferred AI IDE.
Coding assistant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So when you say worried, you are more excited about AI in this sense,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I was joking.
Not
I was
concerned.
joking. Not concerned.
Okay.
Not concerned. It was a joke.
Good. Okay. Good. Right. And okay, so let's talk about Kiro because one of the reasons I wanted to have that discussion is that I've seen you a lot lately on social media talking about a pet project of yours called KiroGraph. So I thought it was very, very interesting. So I wanted to understand more about why you build it, your motivations, and also what it does.
Yes, yes. This is a very cool project. Not because this is a complex project itself, but because the community adopts and also help me to improve it.
Hmm.
It is a very open source project. In my mind, this was just a project for me. I want to develop something which helps me save tokens, save credits. Okay, let's say save credits for Kiro, because Kiro works with credits, with reasoning, with the reasoning, and you have units of reasoning which consume your credits, and they are not sufficient. Never not sufficient. Okay, and what I was searching was something which will help Kiro with basically an MCP server. I developed the MCP server by myself. Help Kiro to understand my code base and do not grep my code base. Okay, do not search files in my code base, but just better understand which is the scope, which is the architecture, which is the links, okay, in the code base, and does saving tokens too, because if it hasn't to do some search, too much search in my code base, it can save tokens. Okay, so those was my two primary objective. Okay, I want to achieve those two, and this was my project. Okay, it was for me. It was for me. I started it just exploring the AI landscape, and I see that Colby was developing a code graph for Claude. For Claude, this was a very early project for him too, and it was specifically for Claude. It was not being possible to wire it in Kiro. Also because Kiro has its own system of hooks, of steering file, which is something different from others AI agent landscape. Okay, and my idea was basically, okay, I took this other open source project, this whole open source project, the project itself, and I just write the hooks for Kiro and the steerings for Kiro, cloning basically the Claude MD and the agents MD Colby has in its own project. And this was cool. This was cool. It was working very well, and it was let me saving a lot of tokens. Okay, a lot of
Okay.
credits. Okay.
So let me pause on this. So just to make sure that we everyone is clear on this. So yeah, Kiro consumes tokens like any a solution based on AI is connecting to LLMs, and different models have different price. That's why we
Yes.
use the concept of credits, because based on a particular token or number of tokens, the price will be different. So we use credits as the currency to consume tokens on different models, and we do have support for the latest Opus models and Sonnet from Anthropic, but also uh, open source models and
Open
open
weight
weight models,
models.
and so on. So and what you describe is the fact that basically when you work with an AI agent, the agent is going to pass your code base to be able to retrieve where you want things changes to happen, and by default, our coding agents have access to your shell and tools from Linux, like grep and all the other find that
Yeah,
are
source
basically,
tools.
yeah, that are always dumping a lot of data that the LLM needs to that the agent needs to process and send to an LLM, and that consumes a lot of tokens. So the idea using a graph is to um, capture or offer a better way for the agents to be able to navigate through the code base, and without dumping all the code at once, but more being able to find based on semantic search.
Yes, yes. Basically, a graph stores your code base in a more intelligent way than just searching through files. Okay, it
Yes.
stores the calls and callees. Okay, basically the edges, the nodes in your code. So you can traverse this graph. You can understand your code. Traversing this graph, getting information from this graph. And this is a very cool idea. It is a very cool idea because you do not have, and this is not only Kiro, but all the AI agent in the landscape today, Claude, Kiro, but also other agents. They actually grab your code base, and this is cool. This is fine. This is fine. They are optimized to do this, but there is a better way, which is having this code graph, okay, and traverse this graph and getting information. And this was the basically the incipit of the project of Colby, the code graph. But this give me an idea, and the idea behind this is okay. Now I have this graph, which is basically produced by Three Sitter, which is an AST, which is an AST producer, basically a
Okay.
graph producer.
Yeah.
Okay, it is the one we have behind VS Code. VS Code to go from a function to another function, or to get highlights on a variable. Okay, it is the same technology behind the scene. Okay, and my idea was, okay, now I have the information, and I can create opt-in modules to get more information than simply traverse the graph and get where the AI should be able to act on your code base. And those opt-in modules were actually the one more wanted from the community, because they ask something like, how can I understand the architecture, the pattern of architecture behind the code, how I can understand the vulnerability in my code, so a security module, how can I understand not just the link in the code, not just where the AI should do something, but actually the semantic in the code, actually the meaning of the code itself. Okay,
Okay.
and so I proceed building with Kiro, also with Kiro, and that's another story, a very very cool story, because I was working to build for Kiro with Kiro, and this was a sort of inception, which really got me faster. Really got the development process faster. Okay, and so I add the architecture module, the security module.
Oh,
I
okay.
really, I
Can we,
really can't
yeah,
can't
can we
list
just
can list all.
go more specifically into one of those modules that you described?
Yeah,
Um, are
yeah.
are you
Which one?
running
Which
local?
one?
I mean, let's talk
Which
about the
one?
architecture one, because
The architecture one.
I think a common feedback from developers using AI agent is the fact that you get at some point an architecture mess, because the agent is changing your initial architecture, and you don't have a good grasp on what the agent has been doing, and maybe he's changing everything. So let's talk about this one.
Yeah, yeah, and also it is the very first one asked from the community, from Maurizio Argoneto, which is an AWS hero in Italy, a newest AWS hero
Hmm.
from 2006 cohort. Okay, and
26. Yeah.
yeah, 26. Sorry, and this is a very interesting model, because it actually uses three sitter. Okay, KiroGraph use it to store the edges and nodes for the code, but it explores everything it finds in the code base about patterns of architecture, which you have because you have frameworks. Okay,
Hmm.
and Tricitter can understand frameworks, can understand the structure of the code base itself,
Okay.
the foldering of the code base. Okay, can understand by linking of function, which is the architecture you are using, the patterns you are using, and also can understand also the actual architecture, the cloud architecture you want to use. Okay, because because everything is linked by what we actually use when we scaffold a new project. Okay, the scaffolding of the project is actually the patterns we are using
Mhm.
to have a good project, a good representation of what we have in mind, and this is actually the architecture. And so storing everything of this into a graph means you can ask to Kiro something like which is the best architecture pattern to do this new functionality, or there is a better way to do this functionality based on the architecture of the project, or there is a problem in the architecture I'm using in the project itself,
Okay.
and
So
actually it performs very well, very well.
so is that used as a knowledge base with some architecture pattern, or is that used also as a way for Kiro and you as a developer to um, get on top of the architecture that has been developed and make sure that there's no drift in the way we wanted to build out the architecture?
I can say both. I can say both because it depends on the request you give to Kiro. Okay,
Hmm.
if you ask something like uh, um, can I do this? Can I do this? But also, can I do this new functionality? It is instructed by the steering file to understand your architecture and develop this new functionality on these architecture patterns you just have in your code base. Okay, so here it represents just a RAG. Okay, just a semantic engine to understand the architecture.
Yeah.
Okay, but also in the other way, uh, uh, um, Kiro itself, knowing that has this MCP server which gives him more semantic knowledge about the architecture itself, can imagine how to implement different patterns you don't imagine, or you don't you have not expected. Okay,
Okay.
so that's a very complete module, a very it is very simple. It is very simple because it's just a graph. Okay, but having this context, because it's always about context. Okay, it's depend on the context you give to the AI agent during your software lifecycle development. Okay, during the question you give it, you give to the agent. Okay, more is the context, more is appropriate the context you give it to him, and more the answer are good, and the editing of the AI is good on your code base too. Okay, in my experience using KiroGraph, when I ask something like new functionality or editing something, or make a big task, okay, in which Kiro should reason very good to understand what to do in my code base, because there are maybe points of architecture which are not so good, not so explained, not so easy to understand. Using KiroGraph, Kiro iterates until it gets this information, and then goes very well to do what I want
Okay.
without me to explain this. Okay, without needing to give this information to him in the prompt itself. Okay.
Okay. So I have a few questions. So the first one is this architecture module available as a skill or through MCP only, or how does it work? How do you
Uh,
expose that to Kira?
yes, this is let's say a complex situation. Okay, because Kiro has a strange wiring pattern. Okay, which is hooks plus steerings. plus you can use skills,
Hmm.
plus you can use agents MD, but
Yeah.
also but also
Oh,
steerings can be always injected in your prompt or manual, so they can be used as skill. So this was actually the best part on working on KiroGraph, because give me the opportunity of understand better what Kiro does. Okay, and basically what I have done is KiroGraph has a list of steering files. Okay, they are divided in two categories: always on, always wired. Okay, and this is just a steering file which says to Kiro how to use KiroGraph. It is a workflow steering file. It says use the context MCP when you are searching something in the code base against grep. Okay, it is saying if this question is about architecture, use the architecture MCP.
okay.
If this is about security, use security module. Okay, and also manual steerings, which are actually skills. Okay, which are specific for each module. So there is a specific architecture steering in manual mode, a specific security steering in manual mode. Okay, and you can activate this if you know you are working on architecture. You
Hmm.
just put slash architecture, and then you can use this,
Okay.
and Kiro will use KiroGraph to answer your question. But also there are hooks, because the graph needs to be always clean, always fresh. Okay, and
Yes.
when Kiro edits your file, the graph is dirty. And
Sure.
he needs to understand how to clean and how to reindex the graph. Okay, and so the hooks is what actually Kiro does when he finished a prompt, when he finished some work. Okay, he knows he has to use some hooks, and these hooks are different. Some hooks is ask to Kiro itself to do something. Some hooks are just execute this script.
Script.
Some hooks are ask to Kiro to execute the MCP server, which is KiroGraph, to do something else. Okay, it
Okay.
depends on the workflow. It depends on
Yeah.
the workflow. I can make you an example
So
in
for
the
those who don't
security.
know about hooks, this is an
Yeah.
automation that is built in Kiro, and you can trigger it in different ways. So what you describe is that when the agent has stopped working on a particular task, a hook can be triggered so to do an action, and this action could be another agent, so a Kiro task, basically. So the agent is going to work against the task, or it could be a more deterministic activity, like you know exactly what you want to do. So maybe it's just a script, a bash script that will be executed, and then it's going to happen. So or a call to MCP or whatever. So this is basically an automation capability which is built in the product.
Yes. And this is very helpful because you can do a lot of things with the hooks. Also, I'm exploring now a possibility to do a loop with the hooks. So asking to reuse KiroGraph again and again and again until a task is completed, but also making a sort of validation.
Hmm.
This is a spoiler. I'm building a validation module, an opt-in validation module, which is based on a loop executed by the hooks. Okay,
What would be an
um,
evaluation, a validation? Sorry.
validation.
What is it going to validate via the
The,
graph?
basically, that the graph, the new synced graph. Okay, so the new
Hmm.
code represent what the specs wants to implement. Okay,
Okay.
so it is just not guessing. It is just not saying, okay, I've done the work, because I know the past context,
Okay.
but it's getting the new context and understand it's like when you do a task, when you do a common task, you execute it, you ask to implement something, you have this, you can do test, you can check by yourself the code. Okay, you can ask to appear to get a PR. Okay, this is like a QA analyzer. Okay,
Hmm.
uh, and it used the graph to analyze it. Okay, so it has common question of again code, architecture, security, using KiroGraph itself, other models,
Okay.
and looping in the hooks. It just asks some question, some steered question in a steering file. Okay, and it assure that it evaluates. That's why it is a validation evaluation. It is something that validates that the specs are actually implemented how you want they are implemented.
Okay. Okay.
And there are a lot, really a lot of models. I have a persistent memory models. I have a Watchman models, which is very funny. The Watchman models, because it is based on the memory models, which stores what you ask to Kiro. Okay, when you are working with an AI, the big problem is when you stop a conversation, stop a session, or maybe you are working in a multiple AI workflow. Okay,
Hmm.
using multiple AI. Um, you cannot port your conversation or your session between the AIs or between the session itself. So storing this observation, which are again are linked. The good way KiroGraph does this is they are linked to the code. Okay, to the
Okay.
edge, to the node, which has been edited by this observation. Okay, and so they are stored, and you can port between the eyes, between the session, and this is the basic model of memory, which is a model we know we have in a lot of products. Okay, but Watchman does a very singular thing on this observation. When you loop and repeat observation, when Kiro understands that you are doing always the same thing,
Okay.
it produces a skill for you,
Ah,
and
nice.
and and it wires it into a setting file in manual, and says to you, and in the workflow steering files writes, now you have this skill, so remember you can activate it. And so when you ask some question about a recurring task, it says to you, do you want to use this skill?
Nice. Okay. Wow, that's a
Yeah,
great
yeah, that's
idea.
cool.
That's
That's
really
cool.
cool.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
That's cool.
So we have not we have not explained that actually what is the form factor of KiroGraph? So is that the service running in the cloud, or is that something running on my laptop, or
No, it is totally local. It is totally local because the philosophy of this is always um, mm, uh, mm, let's try to save credits. Okay, because
yeah?
but not because I don't want to pay more. Okay, but because I want Kiro to be involved in important task. Okay, in the reasoning task, I don't want Kiro
To
to
grep.
use tokens for searching in the code. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a waste. That's totally waste. Also a waste of time. Okay, and so that's the saving credits. Okay, not about because if I have a plan of Kiro, if I have the Pro Plan Plus, probably I will use all the tokens anyway. Okay, but I can do more. I can do more, and also I can let Kiro do more interesting thing. Okay,
Okay.
and so everything is totally local at the point that let's say for the memory the recap, the summarization of the observation are done with a local model. Okay, with Gemma. Okay,
Okay.
but also Watchman producing the skill. produce them in local mode. You can tweak KiroGraph to use also the agent mode, and so ask Kiro with the hooks to produce for you the skill. But actually, the default is use the local mode, and also all the semantic information, all the vector into the semantic engine with are actually 7. Okay, they are a lot. I explore a lot of semantic engine from pure JavaScript like Orama
Hmm.
to pure Rust one. Okay, and also I'm exploring TurboQuant, which is a very new good way to storing vectors in a lower usage of RAM.
Okay.
Uh, that's
So,
cool. That's cool.
okay. So, a few questions there. So, w- is this working only on Mac or is it available on other platform?
Uh, well, this is a good question. I'm testing on Mac, okay, and I'm actually developing it for Mac user. But I know, and also community members open me issues and close those issues because they are testing on Windows and on Codebase. I don't know. I don't use
Okay.
something like, and languages which I don't use. There is a community builder which asked me to implement Elixir and Haskell language, which actually I haven't
Okay.
never used. Okay, and he helped me to develop the model for integrate those languages. But also in the last few days, a new community builder asked me to solve some problems in Golang, which I don't use, But the fun fact is that you can, when you develop something like this, you can take a mock of a open source code base in the language you are interested on,
Hmm.
run KiroGraph on it, and find some bugs and fill the gaps. Okay.
Okay.
So for Windows, I'm not using it, but I have a very close friend which is using it on Windows, and also I think Maurizio is using it on Windows, so it should
Okay.
work. It should work on
Okay.
other
Because
platforms.
the question popped into my head because you were saying that it's using local models. So I was wondering how it works. So is your KiroGraph embedding Olama, for example, or is that how do you run the model, or do
No,
you,
no,
or
no.
part of the installation is to have Olama or another solution to run local models installed?
No, no, I'm taking particular attention on not having so much dependencies and not having to install too much to use KiroGraph.
Okay.
It works where Node works. It's basically this, okay?
Okay.
And I execute to get embeddings. The best model is Nomic, okay? And I execute Nomic via game-face transformer, which is actually a library.
Yeah.
Okay, you just use an
Hmm.
API, and get this model on your machine, on your
Yeah.
PC, and it goes executed by this API.
Okay.
So everywhere there is node, KiroGraph should work. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
There could be edge case. I don't know edge case, but I'm happy to see them. If community opens PRs on, I don't know, Linux, Mac, Windows, in system which I don't use and I don't have, we can work on it together.
Just to be sure I understand correctly, the so the embeddings is done through the transformer library that Hugging
Yeah.
Face is offering, but is that is everything done locally or sent to Hugging Face on their inference
No,
platform?
no, everything
Okay.
is done locally.
Okay. So part of
This is
your
an API, a
okay.
wrapper to execute a local model. In fact, when you run the install of KiroGraph, it asks you to download the model. The very
Mhm.
first installation is a bit slower because you have to download for the basic functionality. You can the preferred are Nomic and Gemma, which are 1.5 billions parameters, I think, something like that, and they are like
400 meg.
500
Yeah.
megabytes,
Mm.
something like that. Okay, while for the Watchman, the best one is Gemma 3.5 billions, so it's like 2 gigabytes of downloading. Okay, to use it very well. Okay, or
Okay.
you should use Kiro and use some tokens. Okay, but they are very little tokens to do
And
this.
are you using the MLX library from Mac to run the Gemma 3.5 because that's a big one?
No, no, because the Gemma 3.5 is a small language too, and it just need I don't know if 5 or 6 gigabyte of RAM on your PC. So
Okay.
I'm taking attention on using small language models, very performing language models. But you can bring your own, okay? Because the Hugging Face Transformer API gives you the opportunity of using anything which is listed on Hugging Face.
Yeah.
So if you want to bring your own model, you can do it. It depends on your machine.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe you have a lot of RAM to use, and so you can use a very big model. I don't.
Now, that's very interesting because I do believe that there is a world or there's more and more evidence that the future would be hybrid in in this
Yes,
case, where you have more and more local models. I mean, now you have a CLI available for the local LLM that Apple is offering, but also you have those powerful M5 now, and I don't know whether they have announced M6 this year, but probably in September, and Microsoft and Nvidia also announced some really cool
announce
stuff
very
there.
very powerful steps. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I think we will see very interesting development there in
Yeah,
this hybrid
I don't think
space.
the future is total local. Okay,
No,
totally
no, I don't
locally.
think so.
I think is to use the best in class in cloud to get the reasoning, and to get the difficult task
Yes.
to do. But simply tasks like again grabbing some file. So to getting some file it's not a matter of a cloud AI. It's a matter of
No,
a local one.
agree, agree. Yeah, no, that's good. Oh, cool. Okay, so that's an important topic I wanted to address. So thank you for explaining that. What about the other modules that are the most requested by the community? So you talk
Uh,
about architecture, you talk about security. So what does it do with regards to security?
the second one the community asked for was the integration of Kavman, just
Ah,
because
yeah,
Kavman was popular in those days.
yeah,
Okay, But it is funny, but it works. Okay, so you can basically let Kiro speak like a Kavman, and this reduce your output tokens, and this save tokens for you. Another one very interesting and very difficult to work on it because I should have some guardrail on what to execute is RTK shell
yeah,
compression one. Okay, this is cool because you actually can compress what the shell produce and give back to the context to the AI, and this is cool. It saves a lot of tokens too. But this is very dangerous because you can do something not good You can execute something on the machine which you don't want to execute, because basically how this works with an MCP tool. This
Hmm.
MCP tool is an exec, okay, and it opens your machine to the AI, and this is auto approved, okay. This is auto approved because
Okay.
Kiro should use it,
Should trust
okay.
this. Yeah.
And if Kiro decide to use it with a command you don't want you don't want to be used, this overpass the security Kiro itself has. Okay,
Ah, I see. Okay.
let's make an example. Kiro, for each set command, ask for permission.
Yes.
Always ask for permission, independently of you giving him auto mode or I trust you, setting in the file. Do every set you want. He always asks you
No,
for
no, no. You can if you use custom agents in the
you can use custom agents. Yeah,
you can define you can say, okay, you have access to those tools and you don't have access to those tools, and for
yeah.
those who you don't have specify or you don't have access, he would ask. Otherwise, if you granted access via this configuration, he's not going to ask you.
Yeah, yeah. Let's say for the measure of developers,
Yeah,
for the measure of the workflow of developers, it has guardrails, and he tries to understand if he has to do this. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
uh, using KiroGraph and using KiroGraph exec, these guardrails are no more there, because he says just takes this command, goes to KiroGraph exec, it is in auto approve, execute it. Okay, so I should implement some guardrail, and this is made. This is simple again. It is just those are the list of commands you can execute. Those are the list to explore. So Kiro, ask again. Do you want me to execute this? Okay, and those are the ones you should never
yeah.
execute automatically. Okay, so this is another interesting models. Also, I have this is not a model, but it is another integration, because Kiro has two souls. Okay, the either one and the CLI one, the command line
The
one.
IDE or the
Okay,
CLI. Yeah.
the CLI. So I create a subagents for the CLI.
Hmm.
Uh, and this is another type of wiring, because the CLI agents are different. They read the steering file. They read the steering file, but they don't execute the hooks. Maybe in the new version now
They
they
do.
execute
They
also
do.
the
Yeah.
hooks.
They
When I
support
was
hooks.
working on it, they weren't executing
Yeah,
it.
yeah. In
Okay.
V2, since V2, it supports the hooks.
Okay. And so basically, I have to understand how the CLI works, which is the life cycle of the CLI, to understand how to make KiroGraph behavior similar
IDE.
to the ID. Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is interesting too.
The behavior would be very, very soon the same on between the two. So, well,
Yes,
watch the
yes, yes.
space. There will be some announcements there. So, but
Yes, I
yeah,
see an improvement also in V2. I see
mhm,
a very good improvement. They are very similar now, and you can understand what to do with IDA and CLI. That they are very similar.
yeah,
For now, they are very similar. Also, in CLI, you are now commands which actually emulates the specs. Okay, the specs driven. So
yes,
it is very similar to work on both. Um, Personally, I use the CLI. I use the CLI in automated task. Okay, so uh, mm, when I'm not working on the code base,
hmm,
but when I want to do something like explore the vulnerability, something like discover something on the code base. Okay,
Okay.
I use the CLI, and that's why I implemented the wiring into a subagent, so I can activate it and say, okay, now it is the KiroGraph subagent. Use
Okay.
this and do this thing.
So earlier I wanted to ask you this question. Uh, when I ask whether it was local, um, is this portable? Meaning that if I work on my Git repo and I'm working on my, let's say, my mini at home, and then I move to I move. I need to go to another place, and I'm using my MacBook Pro. Can I retrieve my through Git, for example, or another way? Can I retrieve my code base? Yes, via Git, but is the graph going to be also available, or do I need to do it all over again locally?
No, it is basically portable with some exception for two or three semantic engine. What I've done is always let KiroGraph work in the project landscape. So it has not root folder in the Mac in your Mac. Okay,
Hmm.
we're storing something except for big things like the models. Okay, so when you switch to another computer, you just have you have the semantic engine, everything indexed, you have everything, you can commit in Git. Okay, and it is portable. Okay, but you have to re-download the local models to use it, because I don't want to be those
Yeah,
portable from one computer to another, because you have to commit to Git too
nice.
much things.
Yeah, yeah.
And two semantic engine as local runner. This has to be installed too. Yeah, it is type sense and quadrant. Okay, those two
Okay,
engines have a local runner. But the cool things is KiroGraph as an installer. You just do KiroGraph install, and it guides you on which are the option, and
okay,
then stores a JSON, which is the config. When you go to another PC, you just do any command you do, like KiroGraph status, just to see the status of the files. Okay,
okay,
uh, it sees it is initialized, but you have not the proper runners models which are useful to use KiroGraph. Okay,
okay.
and so it asks you to re-download it. It downloads it, and then you can use it again.
Sounds
So
good.
it is portable. Okay, not in every part of it. Okay, you have to re-download something, but not the graph. The graph is portable, the
Okay,
totally portable, and also all the data. And I want particularly those data to stay in the project, because I want the possibility for the people to uh, git ignore them if they want to git ignore,
hmm,
to not expose those.
for sure.
Okay, or to commit them if they want to port the solution from one PC to another. Another interesting thing the security modules does is also checking any exposure in the graph itself. So
Ah,
when it works with Kiro, if it finds you have API key exposed in the graph, something which should not be there, okay, it says to you, you have this. What to do with this key, with this pattern, with this thing, which is a security problem.
excellent. Okay, that's good. That's really good. Thanks for sharing that. Perfect. Um, so, should we talk about what's coming next for this project? What are your ambitions?
I really don't know, because I'm actually seeing how the community reacts to this, and this is surprising to me. This was my project,
Hmm.
just for me. Okay, and people are people are asking to me new features, so I don't know what to implement. Okay,
Okay.
because I'm actually implementing what people is asking. In the meanwhile, I'm still exploring the AI landscape. So I was talking about TurboQuant, and this was my last work for KiroGraph. Okay, integrate TurboQuant as a new engine,
Hmm.
but just because there is hype now on TurboQuant, and I want
To
to
try
try
it.
it. Okay, and that's my way of giving KiroGraph new capabilities, but also learn something. But I'm more focused on what people want from KiroGraph.
Okay.
KiroGraph is inserted in a list of awesome very cool tools which I get inspiration from. I said about CodeGraph by Colby, but also Caveman
Yeah.
by Julius Brusis,
RTK.
RTK, Watchman, JDoc Munch. Okay, there are a lot of
Yes.
tools you can understand, and you can really understand which is the best for you, because each tool has a difference from another. Maybe the language, KiroGraph is in TypeScript. If you
Hmm.
don't want to run because you are not a Node user, okay, and you prefer Python, there are solutions. JDoc Munch is in Python, okay. CodeGraph is, I think, now in Rust to be more to have a speed. It was on TypeScript. I think now is in Rust. Okay, it is not in my plan to go in Rust to Godspeed. Okay, but if people ask me, can we can we imagine a KiroGraph version in Rust, and this goes important for people, maybe we can do it. We can do
Okay.
it. It really depends on what people is searching. If feature are more important than the architecture of the tool itself. Okay, we go on feature. If we the architecture, the security of the tool, the local capabilities of the tool are more important, we will go on this. Okay,
Okay.
it depends on what people will ask.
Have you tried running it in a container?
Not now, not for now, not for now. But this was one of my points.
Okay.
My my think about this is
The
what
inference.
happens if I want to run it in a CI/CD,
Hmm.
and I haven't tried it now. But now that we can use Kiro CLI with an API key, this is
Headless.
very interesting. This is
Okay.
very interesting because I'm a user of code build. Okay, I use code pipeline and code
Yeah.
build to build my project in my pipelines. Okay, and having KiroGraph there to use the security model could be very cool. Could be very cool because I can just put some security question, uh, like let's say produce the vex. Okay, produce the vex and see if we have exposure of some vulnerabilities or some dependencies which should be corrected
Yeah.
before going to production. Okay, and so going into a container should be the next step, probably the next step. Again, if in this container we have node, it should work. I don't see a reason why it shouldn't work, but it should be tested on this.
Maybe the models running in container will have not so great performance. I don't know. I mean, not the one that behind an API, like, but if
Yeah,
you
it
use,
depends. It depends on the RAM you give to, for example, code builds or GitHub Action.
mhm.
It depends on the virtual machine you use for those CI/CD, and maybe it is not worth to pay so much to execute it into a CI/CD, or maybe I'm exploring also to execute KiroGraph commands before git commit, so on git hooks.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
That's because KiroGraph is organized in two ways. You can use it with the LLM, with the AI, which will use the MCP server, but all the commands the MCP server execute are also available as CLI too,
CLI. Okay.
CLI commands. So you can
Okay.
execute them. You can actually execute them, and so maybe it is not just a factor of the AI itself. Okay, you can use it in your usual workflow, like Git hooks or CI/CD, something like that. Also the semantic nature of KiroGraph. Okay, the semantic nature which use Nomic or Gemma is optional too. You can use in-memory cosine, so maybe we can use this one on the CI/CD without having to store a local model to
Yeah.
get embeddings.
Or perhaps you could run it into agent core behind an MCP gateway and call, and the Kiro agent can call KiroGraph via the MCP gateway.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool too. That's cool too. I'm not now thinking about deploying KiroGraph,
Yeah,
but this for
that's a
sure could
cool.
be an
Yeah,
option. This
that's
could
cool.
be an option.
All right, cool. The Before we close, I wanted really to ask you if you have any data about the savings that you have seen across project in terms of token usage.
I've tested KiroGraph on, let's say, not 100, but similar to 100 code bases,
Hmm.
popular code bases. Uh, um, I have a limit on credits I can use on Kiro, so so those are my tests. Okay, those are my tests, and I see a very good improvements, like let's say 80% of
Wow.
saving credits on using it. But also, to be honest, and this is a report of friends of Genova, of yesterday. Okay, it says to me on little task in little code base. It seems to me it use more tokens. So we are understanding why
Okay.
this happens, because for a little task in a little code base, it should outperform. It should say something like 93% of saving.
Hmm.
Okay. And so we are trying to understand what is happening there. So I have numerics, okay, I have metrics on this, but those are not public, and I have not published them because I'm not confident this could be on all code bases, on all use cases, and I prefer people says to me, hey, you are saying I should save tokens, but there I am spending more.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
what's happening there? Let's try this. Let's understand
That's good.
what is happening. What is happening there? Um, this is not happening now, so this is a
Hmm.
confirmation. Also, another confirmation is that KiroGraph is not a solo project, so I'm not the only one which is using it. And another confirmation is the landscape of code graph is very big.
Yes.
There are a lot of tools which implement this behavior.
Yeah.
So
Have you
so
have
I
you
know.
tried? I'm sorry. Have you
Yeah.
tried a quick desktop?
Sorry.
Quick desktop.
I have tried others one, but
Okay.
you said
Amazon Quick
quick,
desktop,
quick. No, no,
because
no, no,
it
no.
has a local graph
Oh,
included as well.
oh,
Yes,
good, good.
and
Oh, nice information.
you can
I will
see
try
it.
it.
You can
Oh,
see it actually. You can see the graph in the GUI. So that's pretty cool.
oh, cool, cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. I will try it. I will try it. I don't know it has this feature. That's why I was asking, what is this? Okay.
So
So
Amazon Quick Desktop. You can download
this
it. You
stuff.
have the
Okay,
free
okay.
tier. Yeah.
Okay. I will try it. I will try it. No, I've tried the ones who I get inspired from, but also others one
Hmm.
because there are a lot of solo project
Yes.
of people creating its own graph, and this is cool. You should not use another graph. You can create your for your code base. This is cool. But project like KiroGraph or CodeGraph, JDocMunch, Cave Graph. Okay, there is a graph based on caveman. Okay,
Okay.
those are all project which tries to be democratic, try to be just install it, understand which are the feature and models you want,
Hmm.
and use it.
Perfect.
You don't have to do anything else.
That's good. Ready to go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Any closing remarks on your side?
Yes, this won't be possible without AWS Community Builders program, because really they ask me feature, they give me PR issues, they discuss with me on the benchmarks on their code base, they give me ideas. Okay, uh, something very strange could happen. I participated to AWS Summit in Milan. Okay,
Hmm.
and Maurizio was there taking a speech. Okay, talking about security,
Okay.
and just some days before the summit, he writes to me on LinkedIn, writing, "Hey, I use KiroGraph, and I will speak about it on on the stage on AWS Summit." No, and I was like, "Really? Okay, I will come to understand how you use it." Okay, and understanding how he was using it, I just take some photo, okay,
Ah,
of
nice.
how he wants to use KiroGraph, and which were the missing feature he was imagining on KiroGraph. Okay,
Hmm.
I took those photos, gives in a
To
spec
Kira.
driven development to Kiro. Okay, Kiro writes me the specs
Based on the
for the
photos.
security for the security models. I reviewed them. Asked to Maurizio if they were cool to him, if he wants something else. I reviewed with an expert on security because
Hmm.
I'm not an expert on security. Okay, and so I go back to Kiro and says, okay, put this there, change the specs, let's have this one, okay, and then I implemented it with Kiro. Okay, and this is how the security models was built, and now it is used not only by Maurizio, but there are some companies which are actually using it for their business.
Nice. Wow,
Yeah, yeah.
that's good. That's good. So nice shout out to the community builder program. Jason would be happy to listen to that. And yo, thanks you. A few questions to before we close on this. Would you have a book to recommend to others who are listening? Anything that you found really interesting?
Uh, I don't have a title, but I really recommend to again search in the community for people who writes books because they write very good books, and AWS heroes. And AWS community builders writes a lot of books. They are involved also in writing books, and there are very good books to read about architecture, about AI landscape, and so I recommend just to search for those people,
Okay.
and support them by buying these books.
Nice. Nice call out. What are you going to learn next or dive deeper on?
Oh, uh, I'm trying to understand the better way to organize an LLM wiki. Okay, and this is a very cool pattern, but unfortunately to me, it spends a lot of tokens. Okay,
Okay.
to perform very well, you should use a lot of tokens, and that's why I'm particularly interested. I want to understand which is the gap we can close with local models or solution like KiroGraph. There are others solution which is not KiroGraph, which are good for this. Okay, and also I'm really captured by the new NVIDIA GPUs.
Yeah. Once
Uh,
they are released.
once they are released, and we should see the prices.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but this could be really, or also Apple ones. Okay, this could be a very next step, a very next step for builders.
Yeah. Totally. And final question: who should I invite next on the podcast? Who would you recommend?
Oh, there are a lot of people in Italian landscape which you can invite. Again, Maurizio is one, but also a really new hero announced closest friends is Damiano Giorgi.
Okay. Didn't know him.
Uh,
Okay.
and also let me think about there, there are a
Massimo
lot of
Referé.
good people. I don't want
Okay.
to not say a name.
Okay. That's so good. Thank you so much, Davide, for your time and really, I have to test KiroGraph. It has been on my to-do list for a while, but I know exactly the project I want to use it now. Thanks to your
Cool, cool.
explanations, I've been
Thank you.
working on the project in Swift, and because I had a call, a talk with Sébastien Stormac. I don't know whether you know him, but he's a principal developer advocate, big into Swift, and so that I jump onto the Swift wagon and been
Oh,
exploring. But
good.
I'm going to use that because it's sounds really cool. Thank you for your time, and if anyone wants to contribute as well to the KiroGraph or send you PR, I will send the link to I will put the link to your GitHub repo on the show notes. It's not only for community builders. Everyone,
Okay, good, good.
right? So everyone can contribute.
Okay, thank you,
That's great.
thank you a lot, Raven.
Thank you
Have
so
a nice
much.
day.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.